Hey there, Rednecks, Preppies, Redneck Preppies. It's me, the Redneck Preppy. How you doing today? Great. Good. Recently, I made a video about why I distrusted high-tech items in a survival situation, such as a GPS for navigation instead of ye old map and compass, and that actually reminded me of a news article that I had read many years ago. Back in February 2011, a Quebec woman started on a journey from Sherbrooke, Quebec to Bathurst, New Brunswick, about 776 kilometers or 482 miles by car, which typically is a 10.5-hour journey. Like a good many people, the young lady plugged in her destination into her GPS and then went on her way. All was fine until the device sent her down a logging road and her car got stuck in the snow. Adding to her problems was that while she had a cell phone, there was no signal. After she failed to make it to Bathurst, police were called, but no one knew where to look. The last trace of her was the use of her bank card at a gas station in Rimouski, Quebec. Now, as with most happy situations, she was discovered a couple of days later, albeit cold and tired, by some snowmobilers. Although she only spent 3 days in her little winter hell, she was accidentally and somewhat prepared. Her mother had prepared a cooler of food to eat along the way, and she actually had a blanket in her car. Now, before you dismiss that story, I've read dozens of similar accounts over the years, some in winter, some at other times of the year, all involving the infallible and idiot-proof GPS taking a driver out somewhere they couldn't get back out of. Unfortunately, the situations often have a bad ending, with drivers not being able to be found for months afterwards, and unfortunately not always alive. So that got me to thinking that perhaps a video about a good winter survival kit for a vehicle was warranted. Now, before we get to the list of items I think should be in a bag in your trunk, I'm going to say at the outset, there are things I'm not going to mention in this video because they should always be in your car. If you live in a wintry clime and you're out driving in January without a snow brush and an ice scraper, God can't help you, let alone some simple gear to help you survive. On that note, let's get going. Now, first, you can pack all of this stuff up in a medium to large size canvas or otherwise rugged bag, so start with that. If you don't want one of those, you can use one of those plastic resealable storage containers, whatever floats your boat. Okay, starting off. You should have a heavyweight blanket, socks, gloves, and hat. Most people, when they travel, only wear the usual light winter gear because they don't actually expect to get real cold. Now, I'm not talking about fashionable gear here. I'm talking about the ugly hats with ear flaps, big fur-lined gloves, socks thick enough to stop bullets, and a blanket that could protect you in a nuclear blast. Next up, a lot of people will recommend bringing jumper cables. Knock yourself out. I think I have a set in the Jeep. But if there's no one else around to jump your battery, as one would expect when you're alone and lost, you're probably better served by bringing along a battery booster. Those things can hold a charge forever, can be used several times before needing to be recharged, and oftentimes can be used as a really big battery bank for your electronics. Now, you might not think that you need water in the winter. You're surrounded by snow after all. But screwing around with eating snow or partially melting it is a good way to discover what hypothermia is like. Bringing along plenty of bottled water. Now, food isn't probably going to be an immediate need. I mean, you can go weeks without eating. But packing some non-perishable, high-energy, and caloric food is an excellent idea, even if only for morale purposes. It's not going to be an expansive diet for a few days, but survival is about not dying, not your comfort. And throw some instant coffee in there too, because withdrawal is a bitch. Now, you have plenty of space in that bag, so a few different ways of making fire is recommended. Lighters, tinder, ferro rods, whatever you're good at using. Have plenty of everything. Staying warm is a big priority, and your car might not be able to provide that warmth, at least not for long. It goes without saying that you should have a good knife. I don't care if it's a K-bar, a knife that you would have with a survival kit, like, a Mora knife or whatever. Have one, a good quality one. An emergency candle and a can for a cheap and easy way to generate both heat and light is an excellent idea. Having something for signaling, such as flares, is a marvelous idea. Another is a blaze orange tarp. You can literally fold a tarp that's as big as your car into a very small space. The one that's in my personal survival kit is 7 feet by 6 feet. So there's no reason not to throw one into your car's survival kit. Plus, it can serve as a shelter if you need it. Now, obviously, a flashlight is an excellent idea, and because it's not part of an EDC or personal survival kit, this can be as big and as beefy as you like, with as many spare batteries as you can pack. Having a bag of sand or non-clumping kitty litter can be enough to give your tires some traction to get you out of a stuck situation and avoid having it to turn into a survival situation in the first place. Another thing I would recommend is a collapsible shovel, which is useful at any time of the year. I've got one tied to my roll cage in the Jeep at all times, and I've used it more than once. And in the winter, it's almost a necessity. Now, if you're stuck out there for a few days, a sleeping bag is a good idea. Make sure it's winter rated. If you've ever camped with a substandard sleeping bag, you know how miserable sleeping cold is. I'll bet some of you saw this coming based on my earlier videos, but have a compass and a paper map for the area you'll be in. A GPS may have gotten you in this situation, but a compass and paper map may be what gets you out of it. Having a couple of extra liters or gallons of gas can make the difference between getting out of a situation or being stuck in place. Besides, if you're relying on your car for heat, extra gas will make that a possibility a little bit longer. This is another one of those should always be in there items, but a can of flat tire inflator is a great idea. Well, I've never used them on my vehicle. I have used them on other people's cars and trucks, and they do work. Yes, the place that's going to fix your tires is going to hate you, but that's why you pay them money. Make sure to pick the right can for your size of tire. Now, I don't know what it's like to clean my rear end with snow after I've had to answer the call of nature outdoors, and I don't you want to either. Toilet paper, enough said. Again, should always be there, which you know if you've seen my other videos on vehicle-related matters, but have a multi-tool or small toolkit. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. If you're going to be starting fires from warmth, you're probably going to need to cut wood, so a foldable saw or hatchet will fit very nicely in that bag. Another one of those things that's been in my vehicle for years. Finally, if you don't always carry a first aid kit, then you're just simply wrong. That said, remedy that by including a good one in your car's winter survival kit. Go and take a first aid course. It's a day out of your life, and it can save yours and someone else's. Not an exhaustive list by any measure, and because you probably aren't carrying this thing around, you can pack as much as you want. You're only limited by the available space in your vehicle. It's not a go bag. It's a bag to help you not die if you and your vehicle get stuck somewhere in the winter, and rescue may not come for a while, for whatever reason. I think it covers the 4 basics of survival. Now, there's some other stuff that you could potentially put in there. Camp stove, extra clothes, deck of cards, whatever you like and what you think you might need. I've built this as a winter survival kit, mostly because, well, it's December right now, and I live in northern Canada. But with some modification, it can serve as survival gear in any part of the world and in any conditions. So what are the chances that you're going to take a wrong turn at Albuquerque thanks to your GPS and end up in the Australian outback? Pretty damn small. That said, even in 2022, I noticed that the GPS application I use on my phone, OSM and, because Google and its spyware ecosystem, sometimes wants to take me to interesting places en route to my destination. Not necessarily into potential danger, mind you, just ways that make me question the logic built into these applications. This isn't, however, about my mistrust of blind obedience to technology. You could end up in a bad spot regardless of how you got there. It's just about being prepared, regardless of how things got screwed up. I know this abundance of caution and preparation will have some people rolling their eyes and thinking, I bet this Poindexter has 2 alarms set up to wake up in the morning. Yeah, guilty. They're also the ones in the news stories who've been described as the experienced outdoor person that has nothing with them when they get lost, needs to be rescued a week or 2 later, and is always described as tired, malnourished, and suffering from mild hypothermia. You do you. At any rate, I hope you find this video to be mildly entertaining and at least vaguely informative. As always, I hope all your outdoor excursions end up nothing but safe and fun. Take care, and bye-bye.